And welcome back to Real Ag Radio. We're broadcasting today from the Grow Canada Conference in Calgary, Alberta. Thanks a lot for joining us. Right now, we are talking to Mary Robinson. She is the president of the Canadian Federation of Agriculture. Mary, how's it going?
It's going pretty well.
You enjoying Grow Canada?
Yeah, I love to be in Alberta. I used to live here. It's a great province.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Man, you've made some miles. Like you've traveled to a number of different areas.
Yes, yeah, especially since September. We've been to Copenhagen for the North American European Union Ag Conference, which we're happy to announce recently that we're going to be hosting that in 2021 in PEI. So mark your calendar for September of 2021. I don't know how it happened, but it's going to be in PEI. And we also attended the World Trade Organization Public Forum in Geneva in October, and been to Washington, and have made it to Toronto and a few places in Ontario, Saskatoon, Ottawa. Yeah, it's Air Canada and I are going to figure this out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no kidding. So how far are we into the role here now of being president?
We're 9 months in, I think, and it's a 2-year term.
It's a whirlwind.
It is, yeah. A lot to learn. It's big.
Well, especially when you're talking about across the country, right? Because when you have a national scope to your responsibilities, there are differences of opinion or concern across the country, but there's also a lot of things, similarities, and sometimes we focus too much on the differences. Is that fair?
Absolutely, and I had that conversation with someone earlier today, canola guy, and the conversation went that we have more than 90% in common. We have less than 10% that's not common across most sectors, and it's a big focus of my team right now, Keith Curry and Chris Vanden Heuvel, as well as the rest of the executive and board, that we want to broaden the tent. We want to make sure that people come together in our industry. You know, we heard Goldie Hyder yesterday talking about how they're doing that within the business world, that they're trying to streamline it. So when they lobby government, they can be effective. So we think that within agriculture, we've got to have more commonality in our language and really push a common message.
So as you talk to growers that are here or growers at other meetings, what is the major concern on their mind? And I know that depending on where you are, it's going to be different, but I would expect that market access and trade has to come up a lot.
So I think I saw somebody doing a poll on Twitter on this recently, didn't I? Was that you?
No, it wasn't me.
Okay, I did see somebody doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, and certainly for us, we met with Minister Bibeau last week, and we identified some key priorities that we think are top priorities for our members, and they include, addressing the chronic labor shortage, putting a value on ecological goods and services, getting some recognition for that, certainly trade relief, modernization of BRM, modernization of regs. There is all kinds of commonality and all kinds of top priorities. So depending on where you are and what your threat is, I think your priorities determined by those factors.
One of the big frustrations that I hear from people is that they're not convinced yet that the government understands some of the hardship that the growers have been going through with these market access issues out there. And right away I think of the soybean growers in parts of Manitoba and Ontario.
Yeah, the competitiveness issue is horrid.
Well, especially when we see so much, we see the subsidization that's going on in the U.S. with the MFP programs.
Yes.
And if this China-U.S. deal goes past 2020, or the election in 2020, we're sure to see an MFP 3.0. That creates real competitiveness issues in Canada.
Yeah, and you say about government not understanding it. We completely agree. If you look, the trend has been in recent history that our federal government is elected by the 905 area code. And let's have a look and assess how many people in that area code understand agriculture, understand the potential that agriculture brings. So in April of this past year, we rolled out our Producing Prosperity in Canada campaign. And the goal of that was to educate candidates and MPs and senators and all parliamentarians and their staff as to the kind of three main benefits that we think really everyday Canadians can identify with, and we've promoted those, and we're going to continue doing that. And that's kind of, as I say, we're trying to broaden the tent and bring people in so we can have some real traction and build some momentum with this message.
What's their reaction when you have those discussions?
Well, I think, well, so we had over 50 meetings in April. We had a pledge form that we had people sign that just said, I support producing prosperity in Canada. We had people step up without hesitation. Like Bill Morneau, I was really pleasantly surprised he signed that without any issue. So for people that really don't know jack about agriculture, I think the reaction has been absolute astonishment as to the environmental benefits that agriculture brings to Canada.
So how do we move it from some of the lip service of, oh, I know it's a great industry. Oh, you're great people. Thanks for coming here today. And move it to action. Because I think that's, and I said this about Minister Bobo, that's her challenge as we head into this mandate, is to move from, she did a very good job of winning the, I think the affection of people in the industry. She was sincere in trying to learn about the industry. Yeah. People say good things about her.
Yes.
But we're moving into stage 2 of this now, action.
Yeah, and when we met with her last week, the day after the rail strike was settled, her message was really that she recognized that she needed to switch up her strategy a bit, and she was going to be looking for us to work in partnership with her to really be strategic and be effective, because she's a subscriber to the Barton Report. Way of thinking, as well as the economic strat table, and we highlighted with her when we met her that we look forward to removing some of those obstacles that were identified there so that we can reach our potential.
Yeah, one of the big concerns at this meeting at Crop Life, they'll all talk about regulations too, and really being smart about the regulation. Not to say we have to get rid of all regulations, that would be foolish, but streamlining to make it more sensible regulation. I think is a good way to put it.
And I know we're seeing all kinds of different commodity groups have their own issues with some kind of regulation. If we look at what's going on right now in Ontario with the closure of these beef plants, and how unfortunate that is that CFIA couldn't have found a way to work with industry to avoid that crisis, because that's a devastating situation for the beef sector in Ontario.
Yeah. What are you hearing from your dairy members?
Dairy members. Well, I was so pleased that we had a statement in one of our press releases from Pierre echoing, it was in regards to the Ag Growth Coalition that we're part of, and the statement from the dairy farmers more or less said, we got our compensation that we were promised by the Conservative government eons ago when we made our trade concessions, but government cannot neglect or forget that there are other people in agriculture hurting right now because of international trade issues. And I thought for dairy to step up and say that in support of non-supply managed sectors was excellent. And I think we need to see more of that within our industry.
Amen. I agree with you. Absolutely. Mary, this has been great chatting with you. They're back in session. I know you got to get back in there because you are one of the MCs at this event. So I'll let you get back to your duties. So thanks a lot.
I appreciate it.